People have to stay engaged. Maybe this opens up sort of a discussion around virtual versus in person. When I came on board at Impact, this was before the pandemic. And so we had to learn to adapt the work that we're doing in a virtual model. And that was tough. You can spend all day in a room with your colleagues with, refreshments and lunch and candy and all that good stuff. And you could power through a 9 to 5 in a space together because you're up, you're moving, but suddenly you're shutting all that down and you're on, Miro or some whiteboarding tool on a Zoom call. You can't spend a whole day sitting at your desk in front of a computer. You've got to break it up. And so what we found was we had to take an all-day session and break it into multiple segments separated by at least a couple of hours of doing that. It did extend the timeframes a little bit in some of the value proposition of the work they were doing, where we said you could do this in a number of days. It might take a little longer just because it's online. But now that the pandemic is over, we still offer the choice. Can we do this virtually? Can we do it in person? I don't know what your preference is. I'm an old school kind of guy. I like the in-person piece of it. Going back and being in a room where I can see faces. So if somebody's not engaged or they're bored or they're not, participating, I can zero in on that. It's a little harder in a Zoom meeting.
I mean, the personal face-to-face has always strengthened our relationship with clients versus virtual. But I understand budget-wise, timing, whatever. If everybody's distributed, virtual is more convenient for these type of things in that respect. So
if we ever get into a discussion about literally step-by-step what the process is and how we do it, I'll say this, doing a virtual, if we're using a digital tool like Miro to do the work, it's much easier to organize the work, digitally than it is. We should superimpose some pictures of what the rooms look like when we do these kinds of workshops in person. There isn't a space on the wall that doesn't have notes and writing. That's one of the most satisfying things is after, 2 to 3 days with our clients and every surface in the room is covered with stuff. That's pretty a satisfying feeling. It's like, and then of course having to capture all that and synthesize it down and break it down into, something that's digital later is a bit of effort, but it's neat. It's like everything that's in our brains is now on the wall. And so now you can look back and say, this is the group's mind, hive mind, splayed out on these walls. It's pretty cool. It actually kind of looks like a crime scene. Like we're doing some sort of, analysis of the murder that took place in this room. Lines of yarn from one thing to the next and, trying to draw relationships between ideas.
So if you could work on any type of project or with any client, what would your dream project be?
My heart is in education. My kids are in public school. So I've really fallen in love with the education in our community. I think worldwide and nationwide, we do not prioritize education the way it should be prioritized. So I would love to work on something that's education related and possibly not for profit either, which, I think there's improvements that we need to make on the service model of delivering education to kids. We fall down so often in helping our marginalized communities really get the right education they need to succeed, go on to college and have a career. It would be great if we could partner with an education nonprofit or the US government for that matter to think about effectively use both digital and physical tools close achievement gaps. And that's a big window to drive opportunity through. But we have been successful, I think, we're in so many market sectors, energy, entertainment,
robotics to energy.
Yeah, all those things. I think we're strong in a lot of different areas. I think we're not as strong as we could be in education. I would love to get more into that space. There's just so much opportunity there. And how does AI play a role in education? I mean, we're just starting to think about how we can automate certain processes and actually not only automate, but differentiate instruction. I think that's really what it comes down to is I learn differently than you do. We're all individuals when it comes to learning. Our classroom models are like, 43 kids in a classroom and there's one teacher. And maybe if you're lucky, 10% of the classroom is picking up on the material, the rest are looking out the window. How does AI become a partner in helping the teacher reach all of those kids in the way that's, specific for them? So I'd love for us to get into that space. I think there's so much opportunity there. So get to work, Makoto, and get us some service design opportunities in education. That would be the way to go.